25th, 2023. Hello and welcome to Newspaper Review on TAV TV, where we analyze, review, and dissect stories making headlines on Nigerian newspaper. I'm your host, Auhe Iwese Georgina, and joining me today on the Newspaper Review is a presenter, Ms. Jennifer. Thank you so much for always making time to join us.
It's my pleasure.
You're looking gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I hope the Nigerian subsidy remover is not affecting you.
It's not telling on me.
Oh, I can see that.
It is not.
All right, then. Thank you so much for always coming. And so heading right straight into the newspaper review, starting off with the Vanguard newspaper. And on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper, top story there says, disclose identities of end SARS mass burial victims, Amnesty tells federal government. Disclose identities of end SARS mass burial victims, Amnesty tells federal government. You can find details of that news on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. Next, we have 4 arrested as Atiku hails operatives over forward terror attack on residents. 4 arrested as Atiku hails operatives over foiled terror attack on residents. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, we have how Nigerian leaders disappointed citizens, Africa, Black Race, Word. Obasanjo, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is sharing his thoughts on what he thinks the Nigerian leaders are doing to disappoint the Word, citizens, and the Black race. And still on the Vanguard newspaper, on page 9, Tinubu Not A Magician. APC didn't promise overnight solution, says Oshiomhole, former governor of Edo State, is saying Tinubu Not A Magician. APC didn't promise overnight solution. And on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have ministerialists at anxiety, I beg your pardon, anxiety are serving ex-governors. Others pile pressure on Tinubu. Anxiety are serving ex-governors. Others pile pressure on Tinubu. You can find out more about that news on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And that's all the stories we'll be taking on the Vanguard newspaper for today. And so heading over to Miss Jennifer, we'd like to tackle the issue on page 9, where we have Tinubu, I beg your pardon, Oshiomhole saying, Tinubu not a magician. APC didn't promise overnight solution. So what's your take on this? This is like Oshiomhole coming out to lend his support to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So what's your take on this, Ms. Jennifer?
Georgina, thank you very much for having me. Anyways, we will say that he who pays the piper dictates the tune, and that is in political journalism and all that. So far as I'm the one paying you, so I'm the one to tell you what you do. So we're not expecting a statesman as as advanced, an elderly person as Oshiomhole to say something else relating to Tinubu. That means he has to actually dance. Everyone is dancing to his tune right now because he's the number one. He's the number one citizen in Nigeria right now. So he can come out and say, this is what I want. He can tell you to say, tell the people that I said. So now that takes us back to when the preparation, the pre-election was in process, when this whole heating was going on, when the rallies, when the promises, the campaign were being made, were being carried out. You know, a lot of promises came out.
Yes.
We had every other candidate saying, I will do this to you, I will water you, and I will lie to you. That's how we put it in Nigeria. And, you know, Asiwaju came out, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he came up to say, I am into restructuring. And of course, you must be restructuring before you can restructure. That means that thing that you're restructuring has already gone damaged. You are building again. That could be the aspect that Oshiomhole, a former governor of Edo State, is coming from. That the president right now is not of course he's not a magician, but we know. It's not like we don't know that he's not a magician. But what we are asking, all we are saying, like the Labour people are always saying, all we are saying, do you understand?
Yeah.
He's not a magician. We know that. Every other person in his right senses will say he's not a magician. Barely is the whole election happened on February.
Yes.
He's not up to 6 months
Yes.
or 7 months. He's not up to that. He's not a magician.
Yes.
But at least give us joy.
Yes. At least your first few months.
From the first day Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into seat, subsidy is gone.
Thank you.
Just like it's not enough.
Our lives transformed.
Our lives transformed. That means he's actually a magician because he has transformed the lives of so many Nigerians now that so many persons that have vehicles are not driving their vehicles out. We know that he's not a magician, but we wanted him. Nigerians wanted him to actually take the people's pain, wear the shoe with us.
Yes.
Right now, it doesn't look like Mr. President is wearing the shoes with the citizen. And what comes first? If you check it, what comes first is protection of lives and properties, protection of the persons that you're governing. We're not seeing that. So far, we've not seen that. But maybe it might come. But so far, we've not seen that.
Yeah.
You coming out to tell us that he's not a magician, him not being a magician, but he knew that he, to an extent, because he's got advisors, he, to an extent, knew that these things are going to cause this person's pain.
Yes.
You're not a magician, Mr. Tinubu. Please try and apply magic and make Nigerians to come out from this pain.
Yes.
Look at it. We went from cash crunch, who've always been going from. Let us start with students. Students, we are going from ASU strike to cash crunch to fuel scarcity. Let's talk about fuel scarcity those days. And now we came to removal of subsidy. After the removal of subsidy, so many of the schools, the school fees are being tripled. See what Unilag medical students are about to pay. Though they've not commenced that particular payment. Unity schools, their fees have been removed from about 40,000 naira to 100,000 naira. Where do we want to start?
I mean, it's outrageous.
And you're coming up to tell us that Tinubu is not a magician. Of course he's not a magician. Nigerians did not intend to put a magician there. If we had known that he's a magician, we will not put him there because we have so many magicians. We voted Tinubu. Persons that voted Tinubu, let me use it that way, because every person have his or her own party.
Yes.
The persons that voted Mr. Tinubu as our president, there were some expectations that made these persons to say you are fit. We are not voting you because you're a magician. We are voting you because you have promised us that you are going to restructure this country. You have promised us that there is going to be enough, that the people are not going to suffer more than the one they were suffering during the time of President Muhammad Buhari. So of course we know that you're not a magician, but Nigerians are expecting that our president, who is not a magician, should be able to give us what we want. He's not. People are crying. Yeah. Go to fuel station, people are crying. Have you gone into the market of recent?
Can you imagine?
5 pieces of tomato is sold for 500 naira.
How come? Just like that.
Is it sweet potato? Is it rice? Please, Mr. Tinubu, do something. Oh, to me, in fact, he has become a magician because he's only a magician that can turn blue to black, do this and do that. Yeah. Please, every of his advisors, everybody that are working there in Aso Rock, even the elders, persons like Oshiomhole and Obasanjo, and not to mention, every one of them need to advise Tinubu. Of course, we know that he's not a magician, but we are pleading, Nigerians are pleading, please, Mr. Tinubu, help us.
Yes, Mr. Tinubu, help us. Help us. We trust your process, not like we don't, but we're only humans.
Yes.
We need help. We need help. Okay, so moving on to the next newspaper, Daily Independent newspaper. And the top stories there are TUC to Tinubu, subsidy cuts bundle can't be on masses only, asks him to cut cost of governance. TUC is saying to Tinubu to cut down on the cost of his governance as the bundle is negatively affecting the vast majority of Nigerians. And on page 29 of the Daily Independent, we have foreign transactions on NGX rise to 145.1 billion Nigerian naira in 6 months. That is a huge rise. You find out more of that news on page 29 of the Daily Independent. And on page 7, we have how 20 persons got burnt in Ondo fuel tanker fire. How 20 persons got burnt in Ondo fuel tanker fire. I mean, this appears like a waste, right? I mean, we talked about fuel subsidy removal, and now we're having fuel tanker burning 20 persons. And this is a cause for alarm. Seriously, it is. So you find out more of that news on page 7 of the Daily Independent. And on page 29, we have PDP raises the alarm over attempted attack on Atiku. PDP raises the alarm over attempted attack on Atiku. This brings the question to who exactly is attacking the former the former president of the Federal Republic, former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Well, we know how the Nigerian politics works, so you want to find out how that story is turning out, you will grab your copy of Daily Independent and check out page 29. And on page 6, we have Kwara Governor okays palliatives to cushion effects of fuel subsidy removal. Kwara Governor okays palliatives to cushion effects of fuel subsidy removal. And on the top page of the Daily Independent, we have most leaders lack understanding of their position. Obasanjo, that's the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sharing his thought rather, on that most leaders lack understanding of their position. What do you think, Nigerians? Do most leaders lack understanding of their position? All right. Moving on to the next story, we have subsidy remover, fuel stations consider sack of workers. Subsidy remover, fuel stations consider sack of workers. Protesters hit streets in Benin. CSOs lament costs of living. And that's all the stories we'll be taking on Daily Independent. And moving on over to you, Ms. Jennifer. We have the issue of subsidy remover, fuel stations consider sack of workers. We have protesters hit streets in Benin. CSOs, civil society organizations lament costs of living. It's no longer news that subsidy remover is an issue in Nigeria, and it's negatively affecting every social, economic, and political aspect of our lives as Nigerians. And so now we have protesters hitting the streets. If CSOs joining in that protest, lamenting on the cost of living. So, Ms. Jennifer, what's your take on it? Should the federal government, the federal government has said we want to come up with palliatives to cushion the effect of subsidy? Yes, we know. But how effective is that going to be? Is this palliatives going to get across to us? Or should the protesters continue with their protesting?
Anyways, Georgina, it's not in my hands to say whether protesters should continue with their protesting. They've already made up their mind on what to do. But you know, this is Nigeria, where so many things happen whenever protesters come into the street. My fear during times of protesting is always losing a soul. Yeah. Because I don't like comparing Nigeria with America. the cost of a person, that's one citizen. Yeah. Every citizen matters. Yeah. Every citizen matters. So when it comes to protest, I'm always scared. Because you will find out that the innocent ones will be the ones to go down for it, and nobody will ask, no one will do anything. Let us look at the insecurity level in the country. Let us look at, let's use Benue State as a case study. Every person that has been butchered, every person that has been massacred, every person that have lost their homes, pregnant women being slaughtered and
Tragic.
emergency cesarean operation were being done on them by supposedly headsmen. No one has come to say, stop it. No one has come to say, it's bad. No one has gone to hunt the persons behind this act. So my advice to every person that is protesting is find them good. Protest in this country has a rule, has a process. That means they've gone to seek for the permission from ministry, and they've said, go on, carry out your protest, but don't do this. On a normal day, they are supposed to be given escort, policemen, members of the civil society organization and all that. But I'm still speaking out of that. If some protests are not worth it, if at the hem of our affairs, if at the top there, nothing is being done, the subsidy has come to stay. Yes, it has actually come to stay. There was a protest after the election. The election, the maladjustments, the everything that happened, the ups and downs that took place during the governorship election. The presidential election, especially during the presidential election of which we saw on Twitter, on every social media platform, there were pure evidences of violence. What was done? Nothing was done. Subsidy has come to stay. It has. On this platform, on the same platform, on one of the newspaper reviews, I said it that this whole thing has been taken care of before Mr. Tinubu came into seat. His own was just to deliver it, was to make the pronouncement. Just like I've said earlier, subsidy, so we don't need to make out more trouble.
Okay.
Yes, it is some things the government has promised us that the subsidy removal is for a particular reason. And so many analysts and so many intelligent persons have also analyzed it, seeing it from my own angle, and every other person is that this subsidy is actually supposed to relieve Nigerians. Of course, if the aspect of the PMS is regulated, every other thing will be easy for us. So let us not kill ourselves. If the protest is a harmless protest, there's no problem. But if it's the one that police will have to shoot some persons for no reason, please let the protest go down. On a second thought, fuel stations, sacking, we know what it means now. We know it. The employees are suffering. Yes, when you can't make the money, some fuel stations right now, they cannot afford to make purchase, to buy
the fuel
to get the fuel itself. So now that everything they have is channeled towards acquiring the product, that means there'll be no money to pay the employees. That means they need to cut down staff. That's what's happening. And this is there'll be an increase in poverty level. Inflation is there. Lack of employment. Some of these persons are people's parents. Some of these persons are school leavers. Some of these persons are training themselves in school. Yes. So many fuel attendants are doing this as a means of aiding and relieving their families from difficulties. But look at it now. They're about losing their jobs, and there's nothing we can do about it. When you have 10 staff before manning a particular fuel station, maybe right now it's going to be 5, because when you don't have the product to sell to the people and bring back money, so what's the reason keeping them there? It's so sad, but we don't have much to say about that. It's not in our. We don't just know what to say.
So when we don't know what to say, that sounds like a hopeless situation for Nigerians. And the fact that you said we shouldn't, go into protest because protest is violent, it kills. It feels like that's our last shred of hope. like to be heard. Like we want to be heard, even if we know how the system works, but at least we want to be heard. So should we just give up and say, okay, we know that even if we voice out, we already know what happened in the past. It's still not going to work out for us. So let's just keep quiet. Let's just be silent. Because I believe with great change comes sacrifice sometimes.
We know Nigerians to be very resilient. Yes, we know Nigerians to be very resilient. And for me to summarize that particular that for me to summarize my contribution to that particular story is that everyone should just keep being strong.
Right.
Let us keep being strong, because not having hope is the worst part. It's the worst thing that can happen to a Nigerian right now. Yes. We have known to be strong persons. In Africa, we've known to be strong persons. And that's why, if you're being sacked from the fire station, do you have a skill? Do you have something that can keep you going? That's why I love Nigerians. If you think sacking me have stopped me from feeding, maybe that will be the beginning of my making it. Yes, maybe that's when that person will discover that I have this so talent and all that. It's not, it might not come, it's not as if you want it to come that particular time, but it's not the end of the world, because everybody is strategizing. I must say you've strategized. If you used to eat 100 times in a day, maybe now you'll be eating a bag of pure water is how much in your area? A bag of sachet water.
That's the 30 naira.
Then a crate.
Sorry, a bag. So
a
that should
bag.
Be like 300 or
350 naira. And let us talk about the smallest bottle water, 50 cl. It's about 1,000 something. So we need to cut. If I used to drink 3 in a day before, I would drink 1. Oh, of course, water is good, so I wouldn't do that to myself. We will survive.
Yeah, we definitely
will
survive. We definitely will survive. And we would move on to the next newspaper review. But before we do that, let's go on a short break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey there. Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Welcome back, and yes, you are still watching Newspaper Review on TAV TV, where we review stories making headlines on Nigerian newspaper. And moving on to the final review for today is the Guardian newspaper, and the top stories on the Guardian newspapers are on page 5. We have Akpabio eyes constitutional role for traditional rulers as Abbas commits to restructuring. Akpabio eyes constitutional role for traditional rulers as Abbas commits to restructuring. Next up, we have Tribunal nullifies LP candidates election, declares PDP's Elumelu winner. Tribunal nullifies LP candidates election, declares PDP's Elumelu winner. Details of that news can be found on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on, we have petrol subsidy making palliatives work for the people. Petrol subsidy making palliatives work for the people. And on the center of the Guardian newspaper, we have Made in Nigeria smartphones fumble as monthly importation hits 50 billion naira. Made in Nigerian smartphones fumble as monthly importation hits 50 billion naira. You can find out more of that news on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And on page 3, we have mass burial. Amnesty International tackles Lagos government on identities of NSAS victims. Mass burial. Amnesty International tackles Lagos government on identities of NSAS victims. That's Amnesty International, a human rights international organization tackling the issues of NSAS, asking the government of Lagos State to bring out the identities of the NSAS victim. You want to find out more? Ensure you grab your copy of the Guardian newspaper and find it on page 3 of the Guardian. And moving on, we have as creativity goes awry under guise of skit-making pranks. As creativity goes awry under guise of skit-making pranks. You can find out more on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And finally, on the Guardian newspaper, on page 8, 6, I beg your pardon, Nigeria has failed Africa. Poorly implemented policies drive citizens to poverty. Obasanjo laments. Nigeria has failed Africa. Poorly implemented policies drive citizens to poverty. Obasanjo laments. The former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is lamenting on the policies of the current administration and how it is negatively affecting Nigerians and consequently failing Africa. And so that's all the stories we'll be taking on the Guardian newspaper. But on page 6, Ms. Jennifer, I'd like us to look into the issue of made in Nigeria smartphones fumble as monthly importation hits 50 billion naira. This is alarming, isn't it? It's alarming, right?
Do we have phones made in Nigeria?
Right. Well, yeah, I think we do.
Right.
We do. Just that we don't recognize them, probably because, well, is it a colonial mentality, I think, that are affected, well, not just smartphones, I think other products, really, other products. But I guess the fact that this importation is hitting 50 billion is the reason why this has been brought into the limelight today.
Yes, that is because right now the dollar, the increase, the removal of subsidy, the increase in the dollar right now does not have a particular price. Okay. Some persons are selling for 850, 900, 950, 1,000. So a person in the importation industry right now would be very, I don't know what to say, because this particular phones we're talking about, I've not even seen anyone. Nigerians are not just about here. They're very good though. They make products that when you see them, you will need to be convinced. In fact, it will be hard for you to be convinced that this is made here in our country. Still, if a person finds out that this thing is made in Nigeria, the person will not go for it. Let alone phones.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yes.
if I see a phone that is made in this my country, I will definitely buy it. Yes,
okay.
I'll buy it. I don't know about you. I'll buy it. I'll go for it. But I know that before they can put a phone together here in Nigeria, they will need to get some things outside the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think what we need to do is promote more made in Nigeria commodities, be it smartphones, whatever commodities. Because I know that we have a problem with patronizing made in Nigeria goods. I don't know why, and that has been affecting local producers.
You don't know why? Let me tell you why. That is because some persons think that a made in Nigeria good is not good for a Nigeria.
Yeah, so why
but charity begins at home. Why would think it's not good? Because a Nigerian man might know the right thing. For example, China. Sometimes you say, this product is a China product, it's not good, it's not that. That is because your Nigerian brother has gone to tell a Chinese or has gone to China to make an order, telling them that please use this. This particular thing, I know that it will give me one phone, but use it and make 100 for me.
Okay.
The same China is making a product for America. Go and check the two products. Go and check a phone made for America and Americans and a phone that is made for Nigerians in China. You will see the difference. Yeah. Because we are looking for quantity and not quality.
Yes.
Yes, we are looking for quantity and not quality. And I don't know how they can survive, the persons that are making phone in this Nigeria right now, because importation has already hit 50 billion naira. 50 billion naira. It won't be funny.
Yeah.
It won't be funny. We'll just pray that things get better. Things get better because it's no longer funny.
Yeah.
We'll survive it.
Yes, we will definitely survive it. We will survive it. Thank you so much, Miss Jennifer, for always joining us.
And thank you for having me.
And that brings us to the end of the newspaper review today. And if you are joining us for the first time, yes, this is newspaper review once again. And if you have not followed us on all of our social media handles, what are you waiting for? Please ensure you do. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click on the notification button to get notified whenever we upload any new videos. And until we come your way again with another episode of Newspaper Review on Tab TV, I remain your host, Alve Iwese Judgener. Bye for now.